Hello and welcome to an all-new Perspectives. I'm Deacon Pedro. Today we continue with our small series on marriage and family as we prepare for the World Meeting of Families and the Synod on the Family, which will take place in September and October of this year, 2015. And today, to offer us their perspective, I'm joined by Deacon Eustace and Gloria Beausoleil. Welcome. It's so good to have you guys here.
It's good to be here.
So I'm going to start with you, Deacon. Deacon, did you always know that you were going to be married? Did you always think you'd be married?
Well, I grew up believing I was going to become a priest.
Oh, really? So you grew up in St. Lucia?
I grew up in St. Lucia, yes. And yeah, my thoughts were the priesthood initially. Yeah.
So what changed?
Well, I was in, I guess, minor seminary in Castro, St. Lucia when I was about 14. And for some reason I strayed away, but I did re-enter into the seminary again at 19. But things didn't work out too well, and that's pretty much when I immigrated to Canada. Yeah.
Right. Now, Gloria, did the ideas that you had about marriage, or what ideas did you have about marriage when you were growing up as well, in St. Lucia as well?
Oh, I was just really happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
From a family of 10, and I was the eldest of the lot. So I was like a mini mom with my mom, helping raise my other 9 siblings. But just really happy-go-lucky, having a good time, and not really focused on marriage at the time.
Yeah. So happy-go-lucky, you weren't thinking about marriage?
Well, I guess eventually I would have, yes. But growing up on the island, I had lots of friends whom I worked with and shared, you know, weekends, picnics.
And you grew up in a family of 10, so what was that family environment like?
Oh my God. I was like the mother hen, being the eldest.
Oh, really?
And I'm from a family where my father was almost like the Von Trapp family. He was very strict with every.
Did he whistle? Did he have a whistle that you whistled and you'd call?
Worse than a whistle, just the look. And everybody was order.
Right.
Yeah, this was how we were raised, very, very strict.
Now you both, you met here in Canada, you were married here in Canada, but you're both immigrants.
Yes.
So how did that dynamic influence your marriage?
Well, at the time, in the early 70s, it was a very small community of St. Lucians in Toronto. So we pretty much knew each other, you know? So pretty much every St. Lucian in Canada, in Toronto at the time, knew each other because St. Lucia is a small place. So we knew of each other in St. Lucia.
Right.
And so when we got here, we got together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you still have family in St. Lucia?
Definitely. My mom's there with my younger brother and sister.
So was it, I mean, as a young couple starting out, I guess when you got married you weren't that young, and we haven't we've skipped ahead. Right. But being an immigrant couple with family abroad, did that, you know, having children here, did that influence your marriage or your parenting style at all?
Well, yes, in a sense it was quite a struggle.
It was?
Yes, quite a struggle because we were both supporting families back on the island as well, you know, financially, eh? And trying to raise a young family. So it was not easy.
Yeah. So you have 3 children.
Yeah.
I have 3 children.
They're grown-ups now, and you have 6 grandchildren now as well.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your children. What's the age difference, and how was that dynamic when you had a young family?
Well, I'll let you address that.
Well, Mandy is the eldest, and I had Mandy. She was 13 years before I had my second son.
Okay, so big difference.
That was a big difference. And Victor is 31, and Melanie, the last,
will be 30
this year.
September.
So there was a gap between Mandy and the other 2, yes.
And that was because of...
That was because of my previous marriage.
Right,
yes.
That's right. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. So having children at home, I presume when you got married you thought that you would have children. You were thinking about parenting.
But I was hoping to have 6 children, actually.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Big family? Are you also from a big family?
6.
Yeah.
Family of 6. And I'm all about children.
Yeah.
I'm all about children.
Well, now you have 6 grandchildren.
And I've got 6 grandchildren. So the blessings did come.
So you thought you'd have a big family?
I would not have mind. Yeah, I would have liked to have a big family.
No, but I was a no. Came from a family of 10. Oh no.
Yeah, she didn't agree to that. Yes, she didn't agree to that at all. Yeah.
And how did you think? Because I think most couples don't, and they should, but they don't think, you know, we want to have children, and this is our strategy for parenting, or our mission statement for parenting. Did you have a sort of an idea of how you were going to bring up your children? Was that conversations that you had?
Not a clue, not a clue, not a clue. It would have been nice if at the time our church had already made the marriage preparation course mandatory.
Okay.
Because now we're benefiting from that, and we see we are now acknowledging and trying to correct our mistakes, our parenting mistakes. Because we have been coordinating the marriage preparation course at Prince of Peace for the last 17 years.
Yeah.
And so we are very much aware of the mistakes we made, especially with regard to parenting. Because like I said before, I'm all about the kids. So when the children came, I mean, my focus of attention was clearly on the children. I mean, this was it. I did everything with them, and mom was just sort of in the background, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that was a drastic mistake.
In that you were putting your children before your marriage.
Yes, yes.
And actually, when we got together, my first daughter must have been about 2-3 years old.
Yes, yeah.
And Eustace was just in love with this little girl. Yes, yes. So it's always been the children, the children, the children. Yes.
Okay. So there was the fact that she was Gloria's daughter from a previous marriage didn't create a stress or struggle.
I fell in love with her.
Yeah.
I fell in love with her.
No, it's never been a struggle.
No.
Okay. Now, Gloria, since Eustace brought it up, so he was focusing on the children, and he's admitted that maybe he was neglecting his marriage. What were you feeling at the time?
Neglect?
Oh, jeez.
Well, I wouldn't exactly say it as bluntly as neglect. It wasn't neglect. It's just that if anyone knows Eustace, he's overkill when it comes to children. He spoils them. I've always been the disciplinarian. I guess taking after my father, things should be like this,
right.
You know.
So he was the good cop and you were the bad cop.
That's right, that's right. To the point where my little daughter one day said to my son on the table, "Fix your legs. The wicked witch of the West is coming." That's how they considered me, you know.
So then did you have that conversation at some point? How did you address?
Well, we addressed it not directly with respect to talking to each other, but like I said, we became aware of it, and we are trying to correct it as we work through it, helping the engaged couples attend the marriage preparation course. Yeah.
So you discovered it by helping other couples?
Yeah, because basically we realized that the friendship we had was eroding because of my attention to the children. And I didn't get to know her or to spend time with her as much as I should have.
Right.
And clearly that's a mistake.
One of the best advice I got, and I got this before I was married, and I think it's probably the same advice you give couples now, is that the greatest gift a father can give his children is to love their mother.
Yes, yes.
So the marriage comes first, so you would agree with that?
Yes. As a matter of fact, one of the very pertinent questions we have on the focus instrument dealing with the marriage preparation course, we asked the couples, which would be your preference, your parenting skills or your marital relationship? Which would you focus on more? And most of the couples, they clearly proudly say, "Oh, our parenting skills," you know. And of course, then we explain to them that that could be a problem.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Most of the couples I meet, it's the mother who focuses more on the kids and neglects, if I can use that word, the husband. But so it's interesting to see the roles reversed here. Can we talk a little bit about so you were married, you had gone through a separation, there had to be an annulment. Can you tell us a little bit about that process and how...
Painful.
Painful. It is painful for a lot of people.
It is painful, it is. Because although I have to admit that the sisters who really interviewed me during the time of the annulment, they were very kind and very accommodating. And, you know, if you choked up at any time or was in tears, they would take a time out and give you a cup of tea or something and bring you back into perspective, you know. They were very, very accommodating, I must say, and this helped a lot.
But it was a long process?
Very long.
It's a long process for the annulment.
It was in the late, this was in the late 70s.
It was the early 70s.
Maybe just from a practical point of view, for people who are not familiar with the annulment process, or for people who are hesitant about the annulment process, can you explain a little bit how, not from a personal point of view, but just practically how it works?
Well,
why is it such a long process?
Well, basically, I guess the reason why you go through the annulment is because you want to be in full communion with the Catholic Church. And being divorced, obviously, according to the canon law, we cannot practice, we can receive Holy Communion.
Yes.
And so the initial process would be approaching the priest and have him make the application on your behalf.
Okay.
And the priest would send the documents, signed documents down to the chancery office, to the tribunal,
the marriage tribunal.
Tribunal. And they would sort of contact I guess there is the person who's making the application would have to give information about his or her spouse, address, phone numbers, because the tribunal would have to contact that person.
Right.
And they also need to get in touch with other persons who have known the couple as a married couple for a number of years.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So they can attest to what went
whether,
wrong.
whether it was
Justified,
the validity or
yes.
the invalidity of the marriage.
Yeah, I had 2 witnesses. I had to have 2 witnesses.
So that's
a
why
male who would have known my ex closely, and a female for a number of years. Who knew me.
Okay.
While you're married.
While you're married.
Not prior.
Right.
While
Exactly. Okay, we're going to take a little break. But I hope that this is interesting and, well, it's important information, but interesting information. We're speaking with Deacon Eustace and Gloria Beausoleil. And don't go too far away, because we're going to be right back. Back to Perspectives on Marriage and Family. I'm Deacon Pedro. We're speaking with Deacon Eustace and Gloria Beausoleil. Just to recap a little bit, so the annulment process, it's a long process because you have to contact people who you may not be in contact with or in another country. So that's why it's drawn out. It's painful because the circumstances are sometimes painful.
And keep in mind, you also have to relive or to revisit the circumstances around, And then
just as a note, so basically what the tribunal is doing is determining whether that marriage was valid at the time of consent.
Amen.
And I presume in your case, it was considered that the consent was not valid.
That's right.
So you're free to marry again. Now, you came into this marriage with a daughter. The daughter, still, now that she's grown up and married, still lives with you, with her family.
That's right.
How did that come about? And tell us a little bit about that dynamic, because that's different too.
Well, we are parents who we tend not to be in a hurry to get rid of our children. Okay? And our daughter lived in the U.S. for a while. Her husband is American. And at one point, they were planning on coming back home. So I built an apartment downstairs. There was a rec room, so I got busy. And I built an apartment to accommodate them, and they've been with us ever since.
Good. Helps with keep you company.
And the rationale behind that too is the love I have for our first granddaughter. I wanted to keep her as close to home as possible.
So sorry, this daughter and her, they have
two children.
Two girls.
Two children.
Two girls that are living with you.
Yes.
Yeah, one is 19 and the other is 11.
12.
Just
12,
Good.
Yeah.
So having some, I mean, essentially she's your daughter, but it's a different family living in the same home as you, even though they have a separate apartment.
That's not same. So it doesn't seem
it's
so.
Not
it's the same home.
It's the same family. They're upstairs, all over the house.
So what if you don't agree with your daughter's parenting or your son-in-law's parenting?
We're very respectful.
No, she's an angel. I have to tell you, she is a beautiful daughter. No, I'm not just saying so because she's my daughter. She is patient. kind, everything a man would want in a wife.
Yeah,
Good.
When she disciplines her children, never yells.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even hear her tone of voice. I swear to God, Eustace was supposed to have been her biological father. She is so gentle. I guess they say children learn what they live.
Yeah.
She disciplines her children. She will speak to the eldest one, and she will say, I'll give you up to 10. She'll go 1, 2, till she gets to 10.
But how does that make you feel? Do you feel like, oh, just send her to her room
Sometimes,
now?
sometimes. And of course, there are times when there are times when our eldest granddaughter, because she could be a bit manipulative, she likes to have her own way sometimes, and then she will try to have us override mom's decision.
Oh,
I mean, that does happen.
yes, of course.
And there are occasions, I must admit, when I do go to battle for her, and I will sort of appeal to mom to be more lenient, to allow her the freedom, whatever.
How does that go?
It usually works out pretty well.
Yeah, she's she's an older
I find a way to sell it, you know. I find a way to sell it, and so
Yes.
it works out, yeah.
So you don't feel you're undermining your
daughter's we've never had
authority.
that kind, no. And she's very respectful of us too.
And her husband is too. So that's where I will be speaking about the blessings.
We're blessed that
the
way.
blessings
Yes.
that I have, and I see through my children and my grandchildren.
Well, let me put it this way, Deacon Pedro. It's almost as though, I sense it's almost as though we do pray our children into their marriages, okay? We do pray them into it.
What do you mean?
I do pray for whichever spouse God will be given to my children.
Yeah, he did that from...
Yeah.
So you did that when they were little?
Yes.
From the
Did you do that with them?
Yeah, we pray as family sometimes.
Not with them. These are just flash prayers I pray
we
on.
also pray with family.
No, not with them. They don't know I'm doing this. So
it's interesting you say that, because I have heard of parents who will actually pray with their children, and they have like a 6-year-old and say, let's pray for your future wife.
No, I do it. I do it private. I've been doing it privately.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you feel
I've
that
seen
the
the
prayers have been
blessings.
answered.
I've seen the
But
blessings.
we do prayers sometimes, family.
Well,
like
when
say
we
on
do that,
birthday occasions
absolutely,
or special occasions, and we pray for specific, requests from the Lord. Yeah.
So this daughter living at home has 2 children. You have a son
who has 4 children.
But they also live near you?
Actually, they just moved to Hamilton.
Oh, well, that's near.
We had them. It was
near-ish.
It's near-ish, but they were much, much closer.
Yes.
Close to the point where every afternoon after school, I'd be going straight to the daycare
to
pick them up from the daycare.
Right.
So we saw them every day. But
Yeah.
now we see them almost every other weekend.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That's good.
And moi, babysit all the way in Hamilton.
Yeah. So yeah, as a matter of fact, this coming week
I'll
we'll
be in
going to
Hamilton because
today.
they'll be out of town.
So having been young parents without that support, because your parents would have been in St. Lucia, you're able to provide that support for your children.
Exactly.
Do you think that that's important, that we've neglected, in this culture, in this North American society, we sometimes neglect, or grandparents, not neglect, I should stop using that word. Grandparents, we didn't have that in my family. My parents are in Panama. My wife's parents are an hour, 2 hours away. So we didn't have that.
Yeah, and I know where you're coming with this question. However, on the other hand, I must admit, there has been cases of abuse. Grandparent abuse. Too much, eh? Yeah, that does happen, eh? And again, because we love the kids as we do, I mean, it's not a big deal. But there could be abuse of that care as well.
So you mean like too much?
Too much,
you're spending too much time there.
Well, yeah.
And he's reliving the time of his children because his son and his daughter, they know how to call. They call Papa.
Yeah, of course.
And Papa says yes.
There is the abuse, you know? Yeah.
Okay, so you're a permanent deacon.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that in the time that we have left. How has how long have you been a deacon?
17 years.
And
17
4 years in the
years.
program.
Yeah, 4 years in formation.
4 years in formation, 17 years. How has that changed your marriage, your relationship?
Big time,
How
big
so?
time. Well, it has brought a very, very deep spiritual bent to our marriage. We are certainly more prayerful because we live the life now.
Yeah.
We live, at least I live a consecrated life.
Yes.
So it has got a lot more difficult with respect to balancing, the church, family life, and Gloria.
Grandchildren.
And grandchildren. And I must confess that it's beautiful, And other than the fact that I must confess that Gloria has been the one who gets the short end of the stick, so to speak, because my time with her has not been as fulfilling as you would expect it to be. And that has been an issue that has caused a few problems here and there, which kind of, in a sense, makes my ministry a little bit more difficult, you know? And so this is the area we are currently working on right now.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to scare any deacon's wife or anyone in formation. However, it is really a big sacrifice to have your husband committed to the diaconate. And when I say diaconate, I mean to the church in general and his ministry on top of church issues, you know. And I would personally say that this sacrifice, which I would think, well, not sitting with him at services, not being with him maybe at a marriage ceremony, all these are little things that loneliness can step in, you know. However, I continue to say that we are so blessed that I feel that it is a blessing from God, you know, and I allow him the privilege to go out to do ministry, to minister to, he doesn't only minister to his devotion to his ministry, but he ministers to other fellow St. Lucians, the community. So, you know, it's a variety of, it's just really a variety of him having to step out to help. And, you know, I know it's his nature because this is how I met him. I met him as being so kind to me, as a loving man, teaching me how to pray, how to, you know, entrust the Lord with all my problems. So, honey, if I had to do it all over again, I would still marry the same man.
Thank you.
Well, that's good, I guess. How many years married? 34?
34. We'll be celebrating 34 this April 11th, yeah.
Okay, so last question then. And I know you probably don't have to think about this a lot because 17 years doing marriage prep. What is the one advice that you would give a couple, a young couple that's considering marriage?
I'm big on date night.
Really?
Date night.
Date night,
Once a week?
Once a week, date night. So we have come to this Friday nights is usually our date night.
Good.
And sometimes, of course, we can hit a movie on a Tuesday because, of course, you know, it's
cheaper.
So we do...
No kids. No kids.
Yeah, so we do a movie, most likely on a Tuesday night.
When did you start doing date nights? Is that something?
Well, that was a struggle. That was a struggle.
So
yeah, it was a struggle. And I mean, something
and when the grandchildren came about,
well,
too, it interrupts our date night because
It
Friday night is, but we'll get a call.
Yeah, she's been pushing for it for the longest while. But yeah, not that I was hesitant, it's just to make the time and to commit to it.
And that night doesn't have to mean go out to an elaborate dinner, get all dressed up. Date night could be sometimes we walk on the broadwalk next to us by the water. The two of us only, Go to Tim Hortons, Swiss Chalet, you know, doesn't have to be anything significant. So there we can share, you know.
Yeah.
And watching a movie at home is not a date night. There are always people at the house.
Right. So would you give the same advice or anything else?
Absolutely. And of course, respect for each other.
Yeah.
Total respect for each other. I think respect is a big piece.
And also being my confidant, he always was. And I must say that I've got the freedom to share with him openly, whether it's negative or positive. And he's very receptive, which is something that perhaps...
Well, I do pout a little once in a while.
No.
Yeah, most husbands do.
Yes. But he takes it on the chin, and that's just a virtue. He's got that very incredible virtue of patience.
Patience is very important. Yes. Good. Well, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much. This has been very illuminating speaking with both of you. We've been speaking with Deacon Eustace and Gloria Beausoleil. We've heard from them, now it's time to hear from you. Write to us, tell us your marriage story. Have you gone through an annulment? Do you have grown-up children and their families, grandchildren living at home with you? Write to us through Facebook, facebook.com/saltandlighttv, or via Twitter @saltandlighttv. That's all for tonight. May God continue to bless you and your home.